Hello, welcome to Gamers TV, another episode on politics, and today we are going to speak on how taxes has been hiking in Kenya. My name is Goin. Welcome to this show. Larry, I'll let you introduce yourself together with Henry.
Alright. Hey everyone, I'm Larry, student at University of Nairobi. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you again Chemtrai for hosting me. My name is Henry, I'm a political analyst and I'm glad to be on the show.
Thank you so much. And lately, on 5th of May, the President of the Republic of Kenya, that is William Ruto, issued a statement of the 2023 financial bill. And we have seen how different entities have been added taxes, from digital content creators to 3% of housing development plans to wigs and all these beauty cosmetics product. And what is the public outcry? What really do the public really are in for it, or what's their opinion out there? Larry?
Okay, thank you. First of all, after the president mentioned the proposed bill to be passed by the parliament for the year 2023-2024, majority of the public were not into what the president was trying to point out. Many came out speaking about the cost of living. It's already skyrocketing. So an additional tax means too much pay and too much burden for the citizens. So definitely it has not been taken correctly by majority of the citizens.
Henry?
First, I want to correct you. This is a proposal bill. It is not that it has already been initiated. It's proposed. And what the public they do not understand, it is that this is a proposal by which on 20th of this month in May, it's the deadline for all of the citizens of Kenya to actually give their proposal concerning this bill. And they do not understand the meaning and the importance why the president came up with this bill. So it is good for the public to sit down to know what is being concerned in this bill. And you may not know if this bill later on it may come to be of benefit to the Kenyans who are opposing it. Yeah.
Oh, you have just said the citizens don't know the meaning and importance of the released proposed bill.
Yeah.
What is this meaning and importance of it for the citizens?
First, the citizens are only thinking about the taxes that they are going to be taxed concerning this bill, but it's not for the taxes. Let me give you an example. Betting companies in Kenya, they are going to be taxed 24 hours per day. Do you know the amount these betting companies get in a day? Do you know the amount? Do you know the amount they get in a day?
It relies on statistics. It depends with which betting company and it depends with the way it's treated.
But how many betting companies do you have in Kenya? We have varieties of betting companies in Kenya, and these betting companies, they own a lot of money per 24 hours. So what the president is trying to do is trying to tax these companies so that money can be able to generate in the revenue of the country. As we know, Kenya, we have a shortage of dollar. That's what the president is trying to do. While we generate this money, it will come into a pool of risk, whereby it will be able to assist the Kenyans of this country.
But don't you think that we all know, we are well versed with the fact that Kenyans are here, hata uamke utoke useme the government may issue kitu to the public, most Kenyans, actually it's about 65%, there was someone who released that 65% don't know actually what's really going on in Kenya on a daily to daily basis. Hawajui, yani they just, and nasema most of them hawajui the meaning and importance because they don't know even if it's a proposed. Larry, how do you do the government really need to step up their game? Wanafaa kuja huko mashinani waongelesha wananchi waambie hivi na hivi ndio inafaa kufanyika?
Yeah, well, I think the first issue, as he has mentioned, the level of illiteracy is also high, especially on matters about governance and how the government disburses its revenue and how the expenditure of the government. But well, for any layman, majority of the Kenyans living you find that majority of the people, they rely on labor as their main source of income. Like someone needs to go get a job, such that if he does the job, he gets paid. Then after being paid is when he can afford the basic needs. So the proposed bill, where Kenyans have a big problem with it, is about the taxation, because like when you look at the aspect about housing, the 3% housing taxation. So here is a situation where, assuming I already have a house, right, and I already have or another individual took mortgage in order to construct a house. So why? So there is the chairman of the National and Financial Planning, MP for Molo. I think he's called Kimani. I don't recall the other name. So Kimani appeared on Monday night show hosted by Trevor Mbija, and he was citing out that that 3% housing tax will serve as a saving for citizens. So that means if I'm earning 20,000 shillings, so 3% of that will be dedicated to the housing project, right?
Yeah.
Also, my employer will have to merge with it another additional 3%, so it's like 6%, right? So that's 6%, but they put a standard figure. It should not be more than 5,000.
Yeah.
So if it should not be more than 5,000, assuming this is a worker who works for 12 months, right?
But I think Honorable Raila came out and said that why would you impose such a task on someone who don't even want to own a house or something
Right,
like that?
I was
Yeah.
almost going there. So my
Yeah.
question is, I'll ask that question again. I'll ask my friend. So assuming that's 5,000 shillings per month. So in a year, those are 12 months. So that how much does it come? Around 60,000. And they've said after 7 years you can withdraw. That's how the MP from all was saying that after 7 years you can withdraw that cash. So it will be like your saving. So 60,000 multiplied by 7 years, that's only 420,000 shillings. 420,000 shillings to construct a modernized house. It ain't really it doesn't beat logic, because 420,000 shillings is not enough to construct a good house. So people are asking about the houses now. Is it really an urgent need? Like, do you really need the houses at the moment? Because
Yeah. Most Kenyans are sleeping under tents. Most
Right.
Kenyans are sleeping in slums.
Okay, right.
That's why the government came up with the housing plan.
Okay, but
Yeah, it's an urgent need.
Allow me to correct you a bit.
uh-huh.
The government is trying to make life efficient in Kenya. For example, in Nairobi, we have many slum areas. People in Kibra, let me say Mathare, they are living in slum houses. Those guys wake up every morning, let me say around 5 a.m., going to work. Yes. And that money that they get, Nairobi life is like hand to mouth. The way you are paid is the way you will get and eat. But the president is trying to remove 3% from your salaries so that you can get affordable house in the years
Don't
to
you
come.
think that is
Wait
too
first
much?
I finish. That is not too much. Since in Kenya right now, most of the people who are employed, they are older. They are above 60 plus. Look in the cabinet ministry, in the ministry concerning executive president and all the CS. Those guys are 50 and above. Most of the people who are suffering in Kenya, they are our young people. And this 3% is going to help most of our young people so that they can be able to get affordable housing. That is what the president is trying to do. And this
Alright,
affordable
can I
housing,
Can I
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My point was this. Like, there comes a situation where you really need to weigh between two matters. Well, the real havoc among mostly the youth is unemployment, right?
yes.
Yeah. So an unemployed youth definitely cannot afford the basics. So once you solve, according to my opinion, the president will have first start by solving matters that need real urgency. Matters like employment first. Matters like let's talk about food security, because just the other day that people are going hungry, the price of unga has gone up. So what if the president would have first considered these matters of urgency? Kenyans really need. Majority of the youth nowadays, there's no job. So if someone cannot get a job, definitely, where can he live? He can just live in a slum. That's where he can afford. Maybe based on the works that he does, maybe the mjengo jobs day, where you can pay a rent maybe of 2,000 shillings because he'll have accumulated to save it. But look at a situation where you have tried to, in case those increased taxes, right? Like that one going for house would have been used maybe to construct new companies. So that the more the number of companies, at least it will absorb more people to be employed. So that more people being employed, at least an employed fella can afford a good house, even on his own, right? But now look at a situation where you're constructing a house, right? Isn't it? So you're constructing a house to go and rehabilitate a person living in slum area to go and live in a good house. Well, he has no job, he has no food in it. So yes, but he has a house. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you are paying rent but sasa niko na mahali pa kulala njaa?
Okay, hapo pale umesema companies, the Kenyan need to build more companies and employ more people. Yani majority of the city au majority of the people wanateseka hawana the skill labor. Yani kama hiyo labor iko ni non-skilled ama hiyo ya kutry, unaona? Most definitely wataemploywa hapo kazi za mkono. You understand me? Sisi tutatoka place wana just sustain na salary zao kwa kampuni. How will our government try to maintain building most of companies yet the citizens are suffering? Yeah.
Well,
how is it possible?
Well, as you construct the companies, in a company, if you have ever been to a company, the top managerial positions are usually very few.
Yeah.
It is the manual laborers that are so many. So majority of the manual laborers will find it does not require skill. Like it's not something that you require to learn to know it. Like let's say you go to a factory producing matchsticks. Your work is just to arrange matchsticks and put it in those boxes. So do you really require to be taught that this is a matchbox? So you really need to take 1, 2, 3, like you put it. It's just something that anyone can do. So well, I think these guys, according to my own self, they could just first solve the rate of unemployment, because we also have some graduates. Someone has accumulated a given skill from school, but now he's not getting employed. Where does he end up living? In the slums. So the first thing they could have just done, construct the companies, solve first unemployment. After solving unemployment, so that an employed fella can afford to feed himself. We don't rely on the government.
Okay, Henry.
Wait first. I want to answer him the question. He's talking about unemployment, right? How can we create unemployment while we have mass action and mandamano? Yes.
Yeah.
How can we create employment? Yet every day Baba is calling for mandamano. Demonstrations. Yes. We need to bring more investors in our country, so as to bring more investors in our country, in which we can create employment for our young people. You know the problem in Kenya, why people don't get employment, is that most of our young people, they are unskilled. That's why you find most of them, they go to Saudi Arabia for work, especially ladies. What this tells you that most of them, they're illiterate. Actually.
Yeah, I cut you short. Weeks ago, the president of Germany came to Kenya because they were signing a pact which said that more than 250,000 jobs have been allocated in Germany, where now Kenyans can go and find jobs there to curb the unemployment situation in Kenya. Do you really think that this is a nice move? Even the fact that you have just mentioned, we need to bring more investors in Kenya. Where does the government really draw the line?
That's a nice move. Because the problem also in Kenyans.
But you're saying we need more investors.
Yeah, we need more investors. But I want to give you a problem in Kenyans. Most of our Kenyans, they believe that the diaspora is a good move. Wengi wao wanapenda kwenda, let me say, hizi nchi za nje like England, Germany, US. Watu wengi wanapenda kwenda huko. In which venye wanapenda kwenda huko, in which I add any value to our economy. Wewe unatoka hapo unaenda huko, hiyo inakusaidia aje? We need to develop our own economy, develop our own currency. That's why you find that the shilling is dropping day by day when the dollar is increasing, because we made those people to become rich. Instead of creating a forum whereby we get Kenyans going to Germany, in which it will not happen. Why? in Germany they have, let me say, kuna rules and regulations. You cannot go to Germany if you do not speak German. How will you communicate?
Okay, I think.
Well, can I cut it
Yeah.
short? I think he never understood what the president meant. The president, when the is it a vice chancellor, German vice chancellor?
Yeah.
When he was in the country, the president promised that he is going to align the Kenyan curriculum system, education curriculum system, to merge with that of German. So to me, the president himself already knows there's ni kama president anawaambia bana itabidi mjipange, like the only option is you guys going abroad, because if you are aligning your education system to merge with that of German, to me he's looking at a situation where he wants to export labor, right? So while you are saying we really need to construct ourselves, because the guys also who are abroad, they do pay taxes, right? They do pay taxes to their motherland country. So that's also one way of building Kenya, right? Now, imagine you have a situation where you have been offered to go and work in Germany, find a job there in Germany, and then there's a situation where you are to remain in Kenya, but you will not get jobs. Like you have to wait. Maybe after campus, you have to wait for even 7 years, 10 years to get a job. But here is a situation where an avenue has been opened in Germany. So many people just prefer, because due to their desperation, many people prefer going to Germany.
And we just saw, so before now the regime which is now in control, we used to see that any proposed bill taken to the parliament, the MPs used to go raise, the MPs used to wanakataa, unaona, because the government trying to say this now. So tunakataa, yani it was in action those days, unaona. But now hatuoni, where has the power of our member of parliament gone? This time yani they just proposed a bill, they just wananyamaza tu. And lately, Ledamo Lekina was just saying, blame your MPs. Yani bili kipelekwa bunge wananyamaza, bili kiproposwa wananyamaza. You should be the one blaming MPs. I do not blame President Ruto for what he's doing. What do you think about his hand?
What I think, the president, when you look at the president, well, the Kenya Kwanza government is the majority in parliament, right? And in a way, the president has managed to have majority of even those guys who are holding those. You find somebody chairing a committee about finance, another chairing about education and stuff. Many of them, they're just the president's sycophants. So someone has to dance to the master's tune. So they actually don't feel they can oppose the president. So if a bill goes to parliament, whether it's right or wrong, as long as someone has been told you'll get a certain pay cut, you just pass this bill. So they just pass, even if it's harmful to the citizens. They don't have the
but where is the sovereignty?
Well, they have
among the citizens.
Pardon?
Where is the sovereignty now coming in? If that is what they will be doing, yeah, just wanna dance to the tune of the president, even if it is harmful to the citizens.
That's why Raila is calling for mass
not
actions.
coming, yeah.
That's why Raila is calling for mass action, because even those who voted for Kenya Kwanza government, they are also feeling the pain, you know, because before the Kenya Kwanza government arose to power, they really portrayed themselves as if they are having the common Mwananchi's problems at heart. But once they arose to power, they are totally turning out to be the kings of double talk. Like, we say this, but this is what we are doing, you know, because they were profiling the past regime to seem as if the past regime were just doing these things because they just want to do it, you know. So, but once they are getting into the government, it's when reality is hitting in. So they are realizing, now we have gotten into this power, but now we really need cash. We promised them, yes, we'll create jobs for the Mama Mboga. Well, but now, how can we leave? This guy invested maybe 20 billion in our campaign. How can we leave him out and give a Mama Mboga? So it now comes, as Gashago usually states, it's about shares, right? It's about shares. So, in as much as many people would like to oppose that bill, even the MPs themselves, but now they'll find you have ever found yourself tunafanya kama board, wengi wape. So that's the thing that's happening in parliament. They just want to confirm to the other side, we are the ones in power.
And do you think that's the right thing? As where is the rule of law coming in? Where is the sovereignty of this country now coming in?
You know, right now,
yeah,
the citizens, they have no power because we are elected the MPs who are supposed to be defending for our rights. But for them, they have decided that their life, the way they dress, the way they own big cars matters a lot to them. And I will start by blaming the Azimio MPs, because when we were in election, Azimio won and they had the majority number in parliament. But the MPs in Azimio decided to join Kenya Kwanza because of money. Right now, as Kenyans, as MPs, they cannot do anything because the president has the majority ruling people in the parliament. So every rule that will be taken to parliament, it will pass, and I can assure you this proposed bill is going to pass absolutely in parliament, and there is nothing as Kenyans we can do.
Now coming back to our the several companies held in Kenya, constructed in Kenya, we see there are several such as the Williamson Tea. We also have several companies which are in Kenya. What big role do they play now in the economy of Kenya? What do you think about taxation and all this? Recently, the CEO of Keroche Breweries, we see most of them wanaingia kwa scandal ya kupay tax KRA. What do you think about big companies in Kenya who have shares and big dividends? Yeah.
What I think, you see, matters about the big companies, majority of them will find that they have political godfathers. For instance, they know someone who knows someone who is in government. Like it's like a chain. They know someone at the top. So when you look at the biggest tax evaders, they are those big companies. Like they just want to evade tax because a bigger company means a bigger taxation rate. Definitely a bigger company will yield more tax, but now just because they know someone at the top, so they feel protected before you go and attack their company. Because you remember when they were following up on Keroche Breweries and evading tax. But what did happen when the lady joined Kenya Kwanza and also vied for a political seat? I guess she won. Now when she won and she was on the government side. So definitely there is a way they'll just cover up. So they'll just evade.
And what do you think?
Concerning these big companies, what I can say is that I blame the KRA, Kenya Revenue Authority. Why do I blame the KRA? The KRA is supposed to come in public to share with us the figures on the amount they normally collect in a month. Last month they collected tax. Where did that money go? We do not know where the money go. But instead they start blaming these companies they do not pay tax, while themselves they fail to tell us where this money goes.
They are supposed to be transparent and
Yeah.
accountable, maybe.
Yeah.
To be transparent.
And they are also not trustworthy because I don't trust KRA. We pay revenue. Where does that money go?
Do you think that there should be a mandatory in Kenya that says maybe wakuwe wakieka wazi how it works, how the bills, how the transaction, taxation and everything wanafaa kwa wananchi waone?
Yes, true. We really need a situation where we have tax accountability.
But do you think it's very possible with the government?
Yeah, for sure. If KRA decides to be an independent, to be run as an independent avenue, just the same way the judiciary is being run, definitely it will be possible. But now the problem is the cartel chain.
The cartel
It
chain.
operates like a cabal.
Okay. And what do you see, our last question, where do you see Kenya now, as we stand as a country, Kenya, in the face of global stock, in the face of economy of the globally now, where do you see the face of Kenya?
Well, it's kind of 50-50. There are those countries who see Kenya as a good stock over for the investment. You'll see, like the way we saw the German Vice Chancellor coming in, we have seen very many foreign leaders coming into Kenya, probably to try and invest. Then there are those who view Kenya as if it's a country full of mayhems and political unrest. So definitely it's 50-50. There are those who are rooting for investing in Kenya. There are those who are not rooting for investing in Kenya. So it's a 50-50. Depends on the country.
And
Kenya is a good country, and I know most of the investors, they view Kenya as one of the, I will not say the first nation, but one of the top nations in Africa, and not only in Africa, and also in the world. Since, you know, in Kenya, Kenya is the only country in Africa with a flamboyant English, because the English of Kenya is best compared to the English in other nations. So Kenya, we are best, and Kenya, we are moving places in the years to come. We need only to have trust in the regime that is in power, and we also have hope. Hope is time. With no time, Kenya will be moving to the next level as other countries.
I find it ridiculous, flamboyant English determining the investment from abroad. Truly, it sounds ridiculous. We're looking about matters about the economic resources and other what have you.
Yeah.
okay, that was our show about the rising, hiking taxes in Kenya, and we have come to the end of our show. Till next time, I am Chemtai Goin.